welcome to episode 10 of the Pixel Empire podcast. It's Murph, and I'm a host and audio editor of the podcast, as well as a producer.
And I'm Noah, a host and video editor for the podcast, as well as our resident meme cowboy. We have a merch store? That's right, we have a merch store. We have a Redbubble page full of different goodies for you all, ranging from t-shirts to pillows to stickers. These items are ones you don't want to miss. Hugo and Porter are both aware of our shop and even own a few designs themselves. So if you want to be like your favorite producer, head on over to redbubble.com/people/Pixel Empire podcast today.
The podcast would like to thank Audible and ImageLine for sponsoring today's episode. Audible is the world's leading source of audiobooks, and if you sign up today with our link, you get a 30-day free trial and any book of your choice. ImageLine are the geniuses behind FL Studios, a program used by amateurs and pros alike. Thank you both so much for your support and believing in this podcast. We love you. This episode, we're going to be talking about this year in electronic music, everything that's happened and everything we're looking forward to.
It's been a very, very busy year for electronic. Of course, it's really been just a busy year for music in general, but a lot of stuff especially has been on with electronic, and it's really interesting to look back at like the past year in retrospect and see what all went down.
Yeah.
Like every year, this year's had a lot of new music, especially a lot of good new music this year in particular. So a recap of some of the like more recent stuff that's come out in the past few months is G. Jones just dropped an album called The Ineffable Truth, and then Rez dropped a mixtape on YouTube called Nightmare on Rez Street. Kid came out with his first EP, Find Paradise. Death Pack just dropped another EP, Cypher 2. A new Louis the Child EP just came out. And there's a new Scholar Spence and St. Pepsi album on the way.
Very exciting.
Yes, very. Speaking of that, I've noticed a lot of like different creative approaches have popped up to. One in particular that I've been really fascinated with has been hearing a lot of like organic instruments, especially like guitars, really getting worked in. Like that new San Holo album was full of guitar ballads. And then, of course, Jaron's been absolutely killing it with the guitar tracks as well. And I've noticed even other producers have been really wanting to like play guitars on stage and work them in. I know Griffin's been doing that since like last year. And I've noticed that in particular has become a really big trend. And then of course other instruments too have been really worked in. There's like a new desire to bring something organic in with all the like synthesis and sound design. Just like to have a more like natural sounding instrument worked in the system. Of course, you have like Brass Tracks too, who's been doing like big giant brass sections in the stuff, and I've just noticed that especially has really kicked up this year even more so than before.
For sure. And then also people like Alice in Wonderland playing the cello on stage, and Odessa having the large parts of organic instruments being played in their sets.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Odessa. They love to bring out like the entire, like I remember they did, I think it was last year, they did a show where they brought out like an entire like university marching band on stage. And like, they're really wild about the live instruments. And I really have an appreciation for that.
For sure, I do too. It adds a lot to the show.
It's really easy to think of like electronic music in particular as just like somebody pressing play on a laptop. And so stuff like that really, I think, makes it real for a lot of people, especially if it aren't very tuned into electronic. I think that makes it a little bit more tangible or accessible to them.
Some of the more notable tours of 2018 were the Virtual Self Tour with Porter Robinson, the Certain Kind of Magic Tour with Rez, Ecali's Crystal Eyes Tour that's happening right now, the Glitch Mobs Tour, See Without Eyes, and the upcoming San Holo Tour, which is starting very soon, as well as the Ineffable Truth Tour by G. Jones.
Lots and lots of tours, either going on, just wrapped up, or about to start. Because tour season has finally hit.
And yet?
So we got tours everywhere, except for wherever is convenient for me.
And yet, there is no Matty on tour.
Yes, that is true. I hate to remember that, but that's true.
Yep. One day. It'll be worth the wait, though.
Oh, I'm sure. And one other slightly miscellaneous development that's been going on is the Pendulum Granite Remix Contest is in the the winner selection stage. And there were a lot of really nice entries for that. So it'll be interesting to see who wins. And Rob Swire has been talking on Twitter about how he's going to go through each and every entry one at a time in search of hidden gems. So I'm really excited to see who comes out first place on that.
Me as well, and I'm also really looking forward to seeing who wins the Glitch Bomb remake. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Pixel Empire Podcast.
And now for a new edition of the Pixel Empire Podcast, a live section. And here it goes. And now for a guest mix from Aether Tides.
what you think that what you think that what you think that we think is cool, 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 think that we think is cool, what you think that we think is cool, think that we think is cool, what you think that we think is cool.